Alright, we're cooking in my crappy kitchen. Alright, first episode of my crappy kitchen. And oh boy, it's crappy. But it's my kitchen. Make some stuffed peppers tonight. Super simple. Yummy recipe. And alright, let's see. First thing you're going to do with your rice, we're going to rinse it. Rinse that rice. Rinse it good. I like using a strainer. Helps get all that starchy starch out of the rice. Some people prefer to put their rice in a pot and rinse it that way. You can do this. Let me see if I can get my helper to help me here for a sec. Hold the camera. You'll get like a cloudiness in the rice. If you can't make rice, then I don't know, maybe you shouldn't be cooking. Probably one of the simplest things in the world to cook is rice. Give it some good rinsing. You want to try and get some of that starch out of the rice so it doesn't all get super sticky and turn into one gloopy mess. That's how you wind up with rice that's a gloopy mess. Stir it around a little bit, let it sit. You can see that cloudiness to the water. Pour some of it out. And again, you can pour that into a strainer. Alright, so with our stuffed peppers, I'm going to use vegetable broth to cook my rice to make the rice a little bit more yummy and flavorful. You can use water if you don't want to use vegetable broth. Some people avoid it because it's got a lot of sodium in it. So if you're looking out for that, skip the vegetable broth, go right to water. So I got my rice in my rice cooker. I'm going to pour my vegetable broth in there. And I love my rice cooker because plug it in, turn it on, and let it go. And then I can forget about it. Now I can get to the other stuff. Normally I wouldn't make it with it, but I'm trying to make this today with some of the Beyond sausage. Figure I'd give it a little bit more flavor, give it a different taste. We love these. We'll eat them, just cook them up in a pan with some vegetables. Sometimes even throw it on a roll. I've used it in my sauces. I make a kind of my marinara sauce. Kind of throw it in there with that. We'll cover that in another episode. But today we're just making straight up stuffed peppers. One thing that's missing off the table is my cheese I'm going to put in there. But of course, no cooking is complete without your beer. Get my peppers ready. I got my salsa. I got some black beans. Super cheap if you want to shop at Aldi. I got some sweet corn. Some whole kernel corn here. And you can do this with green peppers if you don't like it. I just think colorful peppers makes everything a little bit more yummy. So I'm going to cut the peppers. Okay. So we're going to cut the peppers. And first I'm going to cut them in half. All these. And we're going to cut. Watch your fingers. You don't want to cut off your fingers. I mean, you can get by with 9 fingers, but I don't know if you'd want to. Kind of want to make sure they're able to lay down nice and flat if you can cut them so that they will, because we're going to have to put them on a pan. Now, next thing you're going to want to do, we're going to take all the seeds out and we're going to get rid of them, but we're not going to throw them in the garbage. We're going to compost the seeds. I have this bucket here is for any of the excess stuff that is actually edible that's not going in. It's a great idea to save all of your vegetable trimmings that you don't use. Throw them in a container like this. Stick them in the freezer. Keep adding to them. When it gets full, you can then take those, throw them in a pot with some water and let it simmer and make your own vegetable stock right from all the pieces of vegetable you have left. I'm not talking about things like that. So we're taking all these little seed tips out. I don't think we're going to have anything, if we can avoid it, that we're going to need for making our broth. But always have one of those little containers handy to save all the little trimmings from all your vegetables and stuff like that to make a broth. That includes like your onion, your zucchini, cutting off those ends of your zucchinis and your cucumbers and everything. We're going to try as best we can to pick these little seed things out. And then we're going to rinse these out to get all the seeds out. You can stop. Okay, so we've successfully washed, seeded all of our, oh, a little seed. Go seed, be free. We've successfully seeded, washed our peppers, and stuffed them into this pan. And we're going to set this aside for now while we start getting everything else ready. Our rice is cooking. And really the only other things we need are to start cooking up the sausages just a little bit. We want them a little cooked. We get some of our stuff ready here. We're going to get our black beans ready. It's important. You want to take your black beans. I like to put them in a strainer. Again, love my strainer. Makes life easy. Keeps things from going down the drainer. I'm going to rinse my black beans in here. Now, if you've got tons of time and don't have 4 kids like I do, feel free to soak your own dry beans and black beans overnight. I'm trying to be quick, easy, simple. You know, there's four kids, 2 adults in this house. So I'm going to rinse these black beans off a little bit, and then I'm going to set them aside. So we're going to mix the black beans eventually with the corn and the Beyond Meat sausage that I just cooked up. The rice that's almost done over there. We're going to mix all that up with some spices. I've got my spices laid out here, ready to go. We've got a little bit of cumin. We've got some chili powder. We've got some garlic powder. But we're going to mix all that together to stuff the peppers. And we've got some nooch. No vegan household is complete without a nice container of nooch. I buy mine wholesale at Whole Foods. Super cheap to buy it that way. A container like this is like $2 for a whole big old container of nooch. And any vegan needs this in your house. You need this. So I'm going to continue rinsing these, and I'll get back to you when we're all done rinsing and everything is ready to mix and go into the peppers. All right, so we got our rice all cooked up. I got my sausage. I got my black beans, frijoles negros. I'm going to dump those in there. Make this easy. Take my sausage, dump that in there. I'm going to take the corn, dump that in there. We are going to put some garlic powder. A couple of teaspoons of garlic powder in there for a nice yummy flavoring. We'll already get a lot of flavoring from the sausage and from the vegetable broth, but always want to add a little something extra. 1, I don't know, 2 sounds good to me. And you're going to taste it before you stuff the peppers anyway, because you want to make sure it tastes the way you want it to taste.
Dad, what measuring utensil are you using?
I'm using 1 teaspoon. Some people don't believe in measuring. I'm just going to throw enough. They'll sit there and go, that's about a teaspoon.
Oh, that's a lot. That was a lot.
Anyway. And then for the nooch, we're going to go with, I don't know, about, I need a tablespoon. Let me grab a tablespoon out of the drawer. 3 teaspoons, 1 tablespoon. So 1, 2, 3. Now I'm making a double batch, so I'm going to put some extra. 1, 2. Yummy nooch. Now, I don't prefer any salsa over anything else, but this is kind of the, I don't know, salsa we had left from the night we watched the UFC fights. So I'm going to use Tostito salsa. Again, nooch, our cumin, our some chili powder, some garlic powder, corn, black beans, the sausage, rice, all that in there. I'm going to throw some salsa in there. Woo! Yummy salsa. Boom. Now's about the time I usually grab some chips, eat some chips with the salsa. Maybe have a drink of beer. Oh. All right, my salsa's in there. I'm going to grab a trusty wooden spoon. Love my wooden spoon. I'm just going to mix all this up nice. Boom. Here's the cheddar. I'm going to throw some of that in there because this is more of a Mexican inspired. I got some Daya pepper jack shreds, but I'm saving those for, you know, the late night nacho cravings because those are great for late night nachos. And we'll cover that in another episode of making some late night nachos. Got the munchies, want some nachos. Now I'm only going to mix a little bit of the cheese in here. I'm going to preheat my oven to about 375. 375, get it cooking, get it heated up. Boom. We're going to put a little bit of the Violife shreds in here just to kind of help hold everything together. And then about 5 or so minutes before, because this stuff melts different than your cow cheeses. It melts different than that, so we're going to wait until a couple minutes before it's ready to put some on top. So we get like a nice cheese on top of it too. Because, you know, oh my God, how yummy does that look? Oh, don't eat off the spoon. That's disgusting. Come on. Go back to getting some chips. I'm going to get some chips and eat it with the chips. Oh.
Stop.
Here comes my official taste tester.
Stop.
My videographer. My camera girl. She don't want you to look at her eating. Is it good, Moo? It's so good, Dad. All right, we're going to take this stuff and we're going to stick it in the shells. We're going to stuff these bad boys up. All right? Not shells. We're going to stuff this into the peppers. Stuffed peppers. Now we're going to take it. We're just going to put them into our little peppers here. Which, you know, if you think about it, they're almost like shells. I'm going to stick them in there. If you're doing this with your hands, make sure your hands are clean. Now, one thing I did forget to mention, that in this house, not only do we have vegans, but we have gluten-free people. So since we're using rice, and the Beyond sausage is also gluten-free, which is really a big plus for them. A lot of your plant-based sausages out there have Vital Wheat gluten in them to hold them together. But Beyond Meat does not use any of that in there, so their stuff is really good. My daughter, who is gluten-free, she gets to eat this, so we always try and make something she can eat. Don't want to feed five of the 6 mouths in the house and leave one person sitting there going, what do I eat? What we're going to do is we're going to pop them in the oven at 375 and just keep an eye on them. We're going to pop them in the oven at 375. We'll keep an eye on it, see how it goes. Maybe about 20 minutes or so, maybe longer, can never tell. We're going to toss these bad boys in the oven, and I'll get back to you when we're about to put the cheese on top. All right, so forgot to mention, we're going to cook them for about 30 minutes here. You want to cover them up with some aluminum foil, just because you want that steam that escapes from them to stay in there, lock that flavor in there. Yummy, yummy. It also helps to make the peppers soft, unless you want crunchy peppers in your stuffed peppers. So I'm just quickly covering this up before I toss it into the oven. And like I said, in the last 5 or so minutes, you're going to cook it for about 30 minutes, but check it, you might want longer. Last 5 minutes or so, we're going to throw some of that Violife cheddar cheese on top of it to melt on top of it, just to make it look nice, give it a little bit of extra, you know, flavor, some cheesiness on top, a little gooiness. We'll see how that goes.
So our timer went off on our stuffed peppers. Gotta stop saying stuffed shells. Gonna pull them out, check on them. Maybe put the cheese on top now. We shall see. Ooh, toasty. I'm over here on my little trivets. My nice little counter. Very small, crappy kitchen. We bought this mobile little countertop thingy here, cart, at IKEA.
Sorry.
Awesome, because you can wheel it in, wheel it out. I'm gonna check the. Oh yeah, they still got plenty of time to go. So that's 30 minutes. I think we need a little bit more than 30 minutes. So I'm going to put them back in for another 10 minutes or so before we put the cheese
10
on.
more minutes. We're going to throw some of the Violife cheddar shreds on top of there. I know they have a mozzarella one, and they have another mature cheddar shreds. Trying to find the mature cheddar shreds. Mature cheddar shreds. Try saying that 10 times fast. To try that out too. But for tonight, we're just going with the shreds. Gonna put some of this on top of all these. I'm gonna opt for covering this back up just to try and keep that steamy in. Hopefully the cheese doesn't stick to the aluminum foil on top. And we're gonna throw it back in the oven for about 15 more minutes and see how that comes out. All right, we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Alrighty, let's get this bad boy out of the oven. Oh, I can hear it crackling. I can hear it sizzling in there. Pot holder hands. Ooh, only a little bit of cheese stuck to the top. That Violife cheddar is nice. Looks really good. Peppers are still a little on the crunchy side, but that's okay. Mila's over here. It's like, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Peppers are a little on the crunchy side. I think we might even be able to get Xander to try some of this.
Hello.
What a little monkey. We're going to leave it as this. We're going to let it cool a little bit, let it sit for a little bit before we call everybody in for dinner. Mila's going to set the table, get forks out, get knives out, get everything out, and then we will sit and eat. These are our stuffed peppers, and I'm sure they're delicious. Everybody's been munching on the stuffing that's left over for the inside with some Tostitos and some other stuff, eating them up. So I'm sure everybody's going to love it. So until next time, I'll let you know what our next recipe is next time. We'll see how this goes. I'm also going to top some of these for some people with some of the leftover guacamole we had from the other night. From that, the guacamole still looks really good, so we've been eating that. Until next time, this is Our Crappy Kitchen.